Chapter 45. At lunch, I normally sat by myself at the table against the wall. I always sat with my back to the wall so I could see trouble approaching, and no one could get me from behind. Everyone knew not to sit at my table. I was stewing about having missed an answer to a science question that morning. It wasn't often that I got an answer wrong in any subject, and it bugged me. I was wondering what I could set on fire. It would have to be a big fire, I decided, a lot bigger than Curly's varsity shirt going up in flames. That fire hadn't impressed me at all. Someone was approaching. "Hi," Kevin said as he set his tray on the table and sat down across from me. "What do you want?" I asked him. I couldn't believe he had the nerve to sit at my table and disturb my thoughts of fire. "I'm just going to eat lunch with you," he remarked. "I usually get the entire table to myself." "Yeah, but not today," he said, unperturbed. I watched as he opened up his milk carton and put a straw in it. He looked over at me. "Want a sip?" I rolled my eyes. "No." White milk was pretty gross by itself, although I could tolerate it in cereal. "You want to ride later after school?" "Motorcycles are fucking cool," he said right before he took a bite of his hot dog. I didn't answer, so he talked about riding and how fun it had been. "It helps if you talk too," he smiled. I gave him the look, but it didn't faze him. He kept on talking, but it sure felt like he was nervous to me. "Ride home on the bus with me, and we can ride," I finally said. He reached over and put his thumb and forefinger on the edges of my mouth to make me smile. I turned my head. "I'm going to smack you silly," I remarked. "No, you're not," he smiled as he took another bite of his hot dog. Oh man, he was a jerk. But he was right. I wasn't going to hit him. I had felt the fear in his energy. He hadn't known that I wouldn't hit him, but he was chancing it that I wouldn't. I liked that he was standing up to me. If he'd stood up to the bullies that had been trying to get money from him, they would have backed down. Just because someone was intimidating in size and voice didn't mean they'd fight you. I learned that a long time ago. Of course, there were times I'd been clobbered too, but I always got back up again with no crying, no weakness. That was the trick. Dust yourself off no matter how badly you were hurting and be on your way. My nose could be lying on the ground and I'd just pick it up, put it in my pocket, and walk away. Kevin was right there after school walking to the bus with me, and he sat with me in the front of the bus. The principal had long decided that I needed a front row seat to keep me out of trouble. I wasn't supposed to sit anywhere except in that front seat. I was cool with that. I could turn around and glare at everyone on that bus if I needed to, and sometimes I needed to. "Hey, DeVito, you got a boyfriend now. If he can stand to fuck you, maybe you'll be normal," a voice yelled from the back of the bus. "Oh, shut the fuck up," I shouted back as I glared at the asshole. "Cuss one more time or start trouble and you're going to be off this bus," the driver warned me. There was laughter and more comments from the back of the bus. So far, I've never been thrown off of it. I didn't feel like walking 5 miles to school and back every day. "Y'all shut up back there too," the driver added. "Just ignore them," Kevin told me. "I don't like ignoring them. I like pounding their heads in," I grumbled under my breath. "We'll talk about that later." "No, we won't," I assured him. I steamed inside because I really didn't want to be thrown off the bus. In consolation, there were other places that I could beat the jokers up. Thinking about that made me feel better. The voices in the back of the bus made some more comments about me and Kevin. I tightened up with each comment wanting to strike back. Each time Kevin squeezed my arm and shook his head at me. A few moments later, I was glad the bus arrived at my house. It had been so annoying trying to ignore the jerks. They'd pay for that later when there was no one to protect them from me. "Good job at ignoring them," he congratulated me as we walked up to my front door. I blinked my eyes in frustration. He was patting my arm. He had no idea that there would be revenge later, probably as soon as the next day. I'd even clear my schedule for it. We used the restroom, then headed out to the barn with Yellow following. "Do you remember what I taught you?" I asked as he went to mount the bike. "Yeah." "No, you don't. First, you ought to see how much gas is in the bike," I reminded him. I reminded him about several things, then I let him get on the bike. I climbed on behind him. He was doing well as we rounded the hill, and I saw my dad feeding the cows. We had about an hour left before darkness set in. "Let's go help him," I suggested, so we stopped. "My slave labor is here," my dad quipped. "Hi, Daddy," I smiled. "Hi, Mr. DeVito," Kevin said. "Are you ready for a hard day's work?" he asked as he leaned over and gave me a hug. "Yep." "All right then," my dad said. He reached out to shake Kevin's hand. I could tell he was impressed by Kevin and that Kevin was impressed with him. Yep, Daddy had a way with people. He had us do about 15 minutes of work and then he told us to go riding. When he was putting together supper that night, he wanted me to peel potatoes. "No can do," I told him. If he really thought that I'd obey him because one of my classmates was present, he was wrong. Kevin looked at me in surprise and realized that I was serious. "I'll do it," he told my dad. "Look, listen, and learn, daughter, to your wise friend," he said to me. I chuckled and exited the room. No one was making me do something in the kitchen. The two of them put supper together. They teased me that I shouldn't expect to eat since I hadn't helped prepare the meal. I ignored them. I knew for a fact that many men never helped their women in the kitchen, but they all expected to eat. After dinner, they also washed the dishes and put them away while I sat on the counter and endured their teasing. Kevin was talking about the band again. He played guitar, yada, yada, yada. I was wondering if we had any ice cream left in the freezer. It was banana split flavored, except some asshole had put nuts in the damn... "Hey," Daddy said to get my attention. "What?" "Stupid nuts. Why did we have to discover nasty nuts and put them in every damn food? It was like somebody trying to poison me." "Kevin just said his band needs a drummer." "You're a drummer," Daddy continued. "So are you. You taught me," I replied as I slid off the counter to look in the freezer. "I don't know why I bother. We just did the dishes and she wants ice cream now," he complained to Kevin. Banana split flavor with nuts was all we had. Maybe we'd go to the store later and get some better ice cream. I shut the freezer door and turned to them. "I would have eaten it out of the carton and not gotten any of the dishes dirty," I informed them. Kevin was smiling at that. Daddy was not. "I used to play in a garage band. Why are you not interested in playing drums in their band?" he pondered. I didn't figure that any of Kevin's friends could play an instrument worth a shit or sing a lick. That was my reason. But I knew I'd better not voice that in front of my dad. "If you're going to be a music teacher someday, you might wish you had some experience in a band." And there he was, telling me what I was going to do as an occupation. I had no desire to be a music teacher, but good luck telling him that. "I don't know," I replied. The two of them talked some more about the band without my participation in the conversation. Kevin and I worked on homework, watched some TV, and then my dad drove him home. "I like Kevin. He's a nice kid," Daddy mused as we watched him walk through his front door. "I suppose," I replied. I hoped that he wasn't that good of a kid. I didn't want my dad replacing me with him. And Daddy had been really enthused that Kevin had helped him with supper. I was super annoyed that they'd had such a good time talking and cleaning up the dishes. I couldn't imagine how anyone could have fun doing chores. "You know he's a good kid," Daddy emphasized as he put the truck in gear and headed towards home. "Yeah, I know. He hasn't even irritated me once," I agreed. "Is he a boyfriend?" I jerked my head so hard to look at him that my neck cracked. "Are you kidding me?" I asked in total annoyance. "Boys are so stupid." "Just asking. Don't bite my head off," he said, smiling under his breath. "You know, I was a boy once." I doubt that you were as stupid as the boys I know, I replied, thinking of Larry, Curly, and Moe in particular. Oh yeah, I was stupid, he grinned. I still doubted it.